All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this one here tonight because last week in this chair we heard from the women's soccer head coach, but now we get to hear from the head honcho, the big cheese himself, and the man that has arguably been the biggest supporter of Sportswire Radio and the Sports Report over these years. And I was listening earlier today to our first interview, which was the day the world shut down, or it was about to be announced the world was shut down back in March of 2020. And look at where we are today in the Five-Town Sound Athletics program. Boy, it's sound on, sound on. The women's basketball team is killing it. The men's basketball team got a couple of big wins recently. We got an esports program that is now revolutionary. We got a women's soccer team we spoke a lot about last week that had their best season in school history. And the men's team, oh, by the way, beat a whole slew of NCAA teams, won 12 games, was in the USCAAs, and had another great season. And, well, that's just what we expect here at Five Towns in the athletics program. And, boy, this man tonight, he is certainly, let's just say, a man who wears many hats. In addition to being a legendary softball player, in addition to being once upon a time a hell of a soccer player in his own right at Malloy College, also an assistant basketball coach there. Maybe his win-loss record's better than Coach Guardioso's currently. We won't rub that in there. How about what he's done even in the past, helping the women's soccer team here at Five Towns get on the board, and the men's soccer team, 50 wins, 5 years. Win-loss ratio 2-1. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention the head coach of the United States amputee men's soccer team, the interim athletic director. He's also a girl dad, a teacher. I don't know what this man doesn't do. I don't know if this man sleeps. I don't know how he finds all these things to do in 24 hours. Certainly, he's not on a bread route like Greg Drizel is. Certainly, he's not got the fancy contacts like Corey Jakes has, or he's not playing a game or two on esports. He doesn't play any games. He is the man that arguably has helped build Sportswire Radio into what it is today of 1,300 plus subscribers. It is sound on, because we are in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and I have no doubt you are going to hear the sound loud and proud. It is time to give our guest that introduction and talk about all things related to Five Towns College in beautiful Dix Hills in Long Island, and most certainly another historic season in the books for our men's soccer team. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show here on the road in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. So with without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. A man that has won multiple Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference championships, was number one in the country in that historic 2021 season, finished number 3 in the USCAAs this year. He has won now 50 games for our Five Towns College men's basketball soccer team. He is the man that is also the head coach of our United States amputee men's soccer team, the interim athletic director of Five Towns College. His name is, simply put, the God of coaching, Jason Fiscina. Coach, how are we doing?
That is a hell of an introduction, Tom. I'm doing well. How are you doing tonight?
And that was even with what I almost caught myself and said basketball. That was like soccer. So I almost stopped, but I made sure to get it all in because we're in prime time and we don't want to slip up here because we had to level up and make sure that we don't miss here. We want to make sure that we certainly, let's just say, make sure we're in the golden era. We are definitely in the golden era here at Five Towns because we don't need to level up. We don't need to do any of that. We're here, baby, in prime time. But, Coach, it is good to see you here. I know we did a spot. You got the job over at the United States amputee. That's right, men's soccer team. We'll talk about that in a little while, but we do this every year, kind of the exit interview after a season, and we've done this now 5 different times. And how did you feel overall for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and Five Towns College helped build? Because after all, Five Towns has been the thing that has been going strong on this platform consistently for 5 years now. But, Coach, how did you feel about the 2024 Five Towns College men's soccer team as a whole?
I think we left the mark. I think we absolutely left the mark. I think, transitioning from Division 2 to Division 1, playing with the big boys, you're now talking athletic scholarships, more international, players playing on those teams. I think little Five Towns, we held our own and we showed we can compete with the best that USCAA has to offer. We played against NCAA teams, won. We got a huge result playing a NCAA Division 2 team, tying them at Chestnut Hill.
Yep.
Overall, it was a great year. It was, definitely a lot of highs, a lot of stuff to still improve on because, as a coach, until you win everything, and even when you do, it's that tireless work ethic of what can we do to get better. So we're proud of our season, but we're already working on 2025 and trying to get better so we can get better results.
It's funny. I went back and listened to our first interview, which was, as I stated, almost 5 years ago now. It was the day that everything was announced to have been shut down during COVID. And you said then, after that season, we go 9-4-1, that we weren't going to do this just for 1 year. We were here for the long run. We were here to build to win championships. And you pretty much called your own shot because I listened back to that. I listened back to all those words, all those things you said. And we were talking about, and I remember saying, well, this was historic and, teams that play in different sports and they're expansion teams. It takes them years. It takes them 30, 40 years to figure it out. And yet you guys, you called your whole shot 5 years ago, and every single year it's playoffs, it's conference tournament, conference championships. Number 1 in the country. We go up to Division 1. We beat NCAA schools. We're number 3. We're right there with a whole bunch of teams, and you pretty much called your own shot. I mean, I just think that's what you did here with this program. You set out and put your own identity to it, and here we are almost 5 years later, and you're a powerhouse.
I appreciate the kind words, but I mean, it's more obviously than just me. It's our coaching staff. Mainly, it's our players. They've built something that, was nothing. And a lot of people, when we were trying to build it, they laughed, and thought there's no way you
can. A little
there.
Small field you had in Dix Hill. We talked about it then. This was a school for performing arts. We talked about Maroon 5, moves like Jagger. We talked about WFTU. But to me, that stuff is all the back burner now. This is a school that's defeated NCAA schools, tied them, held their own with other NCAA schools, went up there in the USCA's Division 1. We had all these all-conference, all-American, all-tournament players. We were number 1 that famous 2021 year. After a year we missed with COVID. We didn't have scholarships. We had all these different obstacles, and yet this little engine that could is now a powerhouse. I mean, that's really what you did. I mean, it was kind of like I said, you called your own shot.
A lot of work, a lot of work and a lot of dreaming big, and luck also goes into it. You got to get the right bounce, and it's been a hell of a journey, and it's something when you look back on it a little bit, which you do in the off season from time to time, you realize what you've accomplished, but it just motivates you to get further. Now it's, we used to be the school that you would go to recruiting events. They wouldn't even give you a roster for kids because why would anyone want to go to Five Towns? Now we have groups of kids that, want to go to Five Towns. It's a known commodity, knowing that if you go there, you're going to win. You're going to be on a competitive team that's going to compete for a national championship. And that's really, that's what you want to build a program for, and more importantly, to graduate kids, to make them the best versions of themselves. And we've been able to do that. But it's still a work in progress. You got to keep success.
Well, you want the brass ring. I know that that's something that we've talked about. I think we had it in 21. We were right there this year. I know we've been there, so I know, knowing you, that you want the brass ring. But it's really impressive what this program has done. 50 wins in 5 years. You've averaged 10 wins a season. I mean, there are schools out there. I don't know if, like, in 15 years they won 50 games. Yet here you are. It's every year, and you've played all these top-notch schools. I mean, do you look back and go, wow, I won 50 games in 5 years? I mean, you could say whatever you want, but you've won 50 games in 5 years.
It's funny. This year we scheduled so many games because the year prior we didn't have any games.
Yes,
We played like
yeah.
11 games,
Talked
and the
about that,
year
yeah.
before that wasn't a lot of games. So this year we scheduled a full throttle of games, and Gercio had posted something about, like, my record a while back, and the
I
photo
remember.
popped up. The photo popped up on my timeline, like, I want to say a week before the Chestnut Hill game. So I start doing some counting, and I'm like, I go to Wells, because Wells has been with me since day one, and I told him, I said, listen, I didn't even realize this, but we're getting close to 50. And the Chestnut Hill game, we got a result. And I told him, I basically, we broke down the numbers, and we were like, we need such and such wins, and to get the 50th against Manor in a national tournament game, to go to the USCA national semifinals, was really cool moment. Really cool moment for everyone who's been a part of the program. But obviously Coach Wells and I have been there since day one, and to have that moment was pretty awesome. And it's something that you'll look back on and say, wow, you were able to really build something for a 5-year stretch that was really consistent. So that's what you strive to do. So it's awesome. You don't really look at those individual accolades. You want to win national championships, obviously, but it's still a cool feat for a small music school that's not,
Yeah, I mean, listen, I
athletics.
went back and listened to our interview. I mean, I know Jeff was here last week. Jeff and I have now done this 3 times, but you've been here, several times more than that. And I went back, and it was like, we were talking about 5 towns, like trying to sell the program, talk about being it as a music school. We had the radio, we had the broadcasters, we had the advantages there where the campus was almost like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And I mean, but here you are. And again, not to harp on, because there's things I want to get into, but you did call your own shot. And on top of that, the winning percentage, the win-loss percentage is 2-1. It's not like you're 50, 40, and 8. You're 50, 25 in a dozen plus games and tied. I mean, that's amazing to have a 2-1 win-loss, because, you didn't just play Mickey Mouse intramurals teams. You played and beat NCAA schools. You went toe-to-toe with them. Merchant Marine, we always played. We played in front of 1,000 plus people, hung tough with them. You mentioned Westbury, tied with them. We beat CUNY schools. I mean, you were like playing teams and winning. And that's why that win-loss percentage, to me, that's what makes it even more impressive. 2-1. That win-loss percentage is 2-1 over these 5 years. I think that's just an amazing job you've done.
Appreciate the kind words. And again, it all goes back to our players, obviously, and the consistency of being able to bring in really high level players every year to continue to improve the group. And I think we will continue to do that, and we need to continue to do that if we want to continue to be successful.
No question about that. And I did put up the YouTube page because Jeff's been working on that, and Coach Litwin I'm referring to, and I'll put up a video too. We'll watch along for a few minutes with that. So if you're here or you'll watch it later on, do me a favor, go sub to the 5-Town Sound Soccer YouTube channel, which includes the women's and men's soccer teams. And I'll put the Instagram page up in a few minutes as well. But let me ask you a question. I want to ask you this question right away. Usually I always wait till the end, but I think it's a good time to talk about it now, because we're talking about reflecting on the 5 years overall. And I remember talking to you about recruiting in 2020. And I remember every year we talk about this, but I would have to think now, because of all the success that you've had, all these players that have walked through the door, all these all conference, all tournament players, that you got to be excited. You're probably already recruiting right now. In fact, I know for a fact you're already recruiting. So I mean, what's recruiting like off a season like this, where you're number 3 in the USCA's for Division One? You beat all these NCAA schools. You got scholarships now. You're also the interim athletic director. You're also the United States amputee men's soccer team head coach. So you got, some power. I mean, not to like, blow smoke, but you have some legit power that, like, if I'm a 17-year-old kid, whether I'm in Corona, Queens, or whether I'm in Hempstead, or whether I'm in, again, Hicksville, wherever I might be on Long Island, I'm going to look at you and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe I do want to go to you. Maybe whereas a year ago, even, or 2 years ago, I would have been in that same spot. And I'm looking at York. I'm looking at other schools in the Skyline Conference that, let's just say, they were in a golden era, but they really ain't doing anything golden right now. But I mean, you can say nothing on that. I can say whatever I'd like. But I mean, the facts are is that I would have to think after this season and the success you had at a bigger level and a brighter light on a bigger stage, that recruiting's got to be even more impactful coming up.
It's been busy. It's been exciting though. Every day there seems to be a new kid, reaching out saying that they're interested. It's always, listen, we're always going to be a hard nosed, head down, work hard when it comes to recruiting. It's the lifeline of your program, and we're going to outwork other programs to get the best kids we can. But it's really cool now when you have kids that know the program and want to come to you. It's funny. I think when we first spoke, I mentioned how when I was at Malloy, it was easier because they knew the program, they knew the
Yep.
school.
Yep.
Now
Exactly.
you're starting to get that way with Five Towns. Obviously, there's still work to be done, but it is really cool, especially locally in the hot pockets of Suffolk. Like, shout out to Whitman High School, who just won the Long Island Championship. They have a few kids that we're looking at that are reaching out to us that they want to come. It's really a great situation for us right now, and with everything that's going on in the NCAA's with NCAA Division One rosters getting cut down to 28, the transfer
Yep.
portal, the level of kid we're able to recruit now um, is much higher, and it's kind of been a trickle down effect. So that Division One kid now has to really look at a lower Division One or a high Division Two, and that trickle down is now making us to compete now for better kids, which is an awesome opportunity.
No question about that. I'll get to everybody here in the chat in a little while, but again, I just think with the success of the program, the 21 season this year, what you did, and every other year, consistently in the conference tournaments, winning them in some years, and being in the nationals, and having the success that you've had, that it's no longer about, yeah, I was at Malloy, I played, and you did a lot of great things, no question. But now it's about Five Towns, and it's almost like you've put an identity. We were talking with Jeff last week, and I was talking with Jeff that now he's starting to get a chance to stamp his identity with the women's team. But you've pretty much done that because it's been year after year after year that you've had all of this success. And I think that's obviously a tremendous accomplishment. So let's get into the season then. We win 12 games. We obviously have all these players that have a lot of success. And just talk to me about, now that you've gotten a chance to reflect on the season. There was a lot of highs, and just overall with this season, talk to me, and we'll talk about some of those moments as well. But just give me your impressions with this season on some of your more memorable moments.
Yeah, I think this year was the hardest schedule we've played by far.
You played a lot of games. You played
Lot,
20 games almost, if I'm
yeah,
not
a
mistaken.
lot of games, new conference, new division. Definitely, it would be easy in the beginning of the year to probably be happy with a conference playoff berth. You know, make the semifinals. Not really think about nationals. But this group, all they've known is nationals. Our seniors, Chavez, Campos, Hickling, all they've known is going to the national tournament, and that sort of expectation has continued, and we didn't really look at Division One and go, "Oh, we couldn't make it." We felt from the beginning that we had a good enough team. We had three really good scrimmages to start the year off. We beat Hunter in a scrimmage. We were up 1-0 on Malloy in a scrimmage, lost 2-1. I look at that. That kind of proved to us that, wow, we can hang with a Division Two squad. We can hang with anyone that we have on our schedule. And we had some rough moments early. Merchant always gives us a rough game early just because they're really fit.
It's a
And it's
big
their home.
crowd,
And
1,100 plus people. I mean, you go there and you play
it's rowdy.
1,100 people.
And it's rowdy too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an awesome environment, and it's rowdy. And the score line didn't really affect how close that game really was. We were tied 1-1 for a good part of it, and we kind of just let it go at the end. But you need those games to kind of learn how to win, and what you need to take to win. I thought early on we kind of struggled, and then mid to late September we got a little bit of it going. We dropped 2 games, and then we get it rolling in October. And it was like mid to late October, right when you want to get rolling, right before conference playoffs, right before the national tournament. We peaked at a very good time, and I felt like we were playing our best soccer up until the end. So that's what you want from your teams. You don't want to strike too early. I felt like we did a good job getting better as the season went on, and it was a good ride. It was a good ride with a good group, and a group that left their mark. Second most wins in program history. 1 game away from a national final. So a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, and I would look at it also that to me, it's an adjustment, right? You're going up and you're playing different schools. You're now at the Division 1 level in the USCA. You're in a different conference, and I kind of think that was to be expected. That you were going to have this curve, you were going to have this adjustment, and then you kind of hit your stride, like you said, going into October, going into the important games and the conference tournaments, then leading you into the USCA. So I kind of think naturally that was to be expected because you're in a different environment, you're playing different teams, and I think really where everything kind of came into fruition was kind of toward the middle of the season, which led to you guys having the success and again where you were as deep as you were once again this season.
Without question, without question, we had some really good positive results. Some results I look at. Obviously the Chestnut Hill game steps up because that's a game where I think we were scheduled to really just get our butts kicked on a random night in October, and we were up 1-0, and they scored an amazing goal on us to tie it up, and we had several chances to win the game late. We just couldn't put it in the back of the net. But that was a big result for us, beating Monroe 6-0 at home. That's a result. That's a team that JUCO wise, is very competitive. The Westbury tie early on kind of reminded us that we could win, and then obviously wins over York and Medgar Evers. The resume was there. We gave Rochester, who was the #1 team throughout the year, like a run every time we've played them. We were the only
You
ones to
guys played
score
them. That was like almost like your yin and yang. I
3
remember
times.
5 years ago it was Berkeley, but it was
And
them, Ryan Stratton. I mean, still is Berkeley. I know Berkeley's always there, but I felt like that you were playing them, and it was like you could just see that back and forth and just that boxing match almost like.
yeah, and just a great deal of respect for them. Obviously, they were the national champions a year ago. Their coach Darren is one of my closest coaching friends at this point. Really, really good
So
dude.
it's not Coach Guardiesto then, right? Just want to make sure.
Guardiesto's in a different category.
Okay.
I'm not calling Darren Wynn at 6:30 in the morning where Guardiesto might get a phone call.
Okay.
So it's a little different. But no, they were a really good team. Our league is really, really good. We have, in my opinion, if Berkeley gets to go, we have 3 teams in the national tournament. From our conference out of 6 in the country that get seeds. So it's a really good league. We're really trying to form a really strong conference. We're trying to add a couple more teams. But when you go up in class in Division 1, you're dealing with a lot of internationals, and that's something that we had to definitely adjust to. Our team's a bunch of Long Island, Queens kids. We
Yeah, you
don't
guys,
have
it's
the
not.
overseas kids. That's not who
No.
we are. And you look at these rosters that we're playing against, and they're all international kids. So, and that they're not kids. Kids is a loose term. They're
Yeah, and
they're,
when
they're
they're
grown
playing
men.
international, these are players that are playing a lot of soccer. These are players that they're playing up basically against pros or club pros, or they're playing, it's really like a different total level. It's almost like the players that you're playing, like you talked about Chestnut Hill, you talked about Brian Stratton, Rochester, and Syracuse. These are schools that like have players that they could definitely easily have played overseas or they want to play overseas. So I think that also is a huge adjustment than when you were playing like X, Y, and Z schools. And now you're having a jump where it's almost like every game, there's really no night off. It's almost like, okay, we got to always turn it on. You always have to turn it on because of the competition. So in a way, I think it's a good thing because, one of the things we talked about over the years, remember, every year we do the exit interview. You and I would do it every year. It's the 5th time we've done this. And we always will like competition. We need competition. We have to continue to raise our stakes in competition. That's what kind of has kept us here in the USCAs all these years, getting those at-larges. And I think that in a way, that's how you know what you have in your team because you've always wanted to play to your competition, not to play down to them.
Absolutely, without question, it's important, and especially if you want to make the national tournament with how competitive it is, you can't. There's no time to have days off or bad losses or stuff like that. You gotta bring your A game every single day, and every single match day is going to be a competitive battle, and you got to play at your best and have your guys ready to go. And I think, we never played this many games before, so there was a little bit of a war of attrition. By the end of it, there was a lot of bumps and bruises, and it was definitely difficult, but the boys, persevered, and again, it was a great season, and there's still obviously more work to do if we want to, lift the national championship trophy, which is the ultimate goal.
What makes those Brian Stratton teams as difficult to play throughout the year? What makes them as difficult to play?
Well, Syracuse has won the national championship 3 times. Rochester won last year, so they have winning pedigree. They have great coaches. Their players are men, and they're men that want to win, and they'll do anything to win, and they play together. They play a good brand of football. They really, it's all team oriented. It's not like you can focus on one guy. There's multiple guys that are dynamic and that can break open a game. And a lot of it is the physicality part of it too. Again, when you're playing against a bunch of 23 to 25-year-old guys, and you're 18, 19 years old, like the physicality part is something that we kind of struggled with at times. And again, they're very well coached, and there's a reason why they win national championships. But I think we're right there. I think we're toe to toe. We stared them in the eye. We were up 1-0 on Syracuse, which in the national semifinal, and we thought we had them. And it didn't work out. We kind of unraveled late in the second half. Rochester, we played them tight. I'd say 2 to 3 games were really tight. The final wasn't as tight. Being down Ruiz definitely hurt us, but no excuses here. You got to find a way to get results. We just weren't good enough on the day to get a result in the final, but we're right there. And there's a mutual respect from our program and their program to ours. We're just going to continue to lift each other up to play the best brand of soccer as possible.
Let me ask you this. We're here with the head coach of the Five Town Sound men's soccer team. He's also the interim athletic director, and he's the United States amputee men's soccer coach. That is Jason Fiscina. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And if you're here on Instagram or wherever else you might be, do me a favor. Go follow the Five Town Sound men's soccer program on Instagram. Check out the soccer YouTube channel. Follow them on Facebook, wherever you might be. Just go support them. It is all sports matters as well here on Sportswire Radio. You played a lot of teams back to back, or played a lot of teams almost kind of within a span of 2 weeks or 5 days, whatever it was. Did you like that? Did you like that you were playing so many teams so many times? Like we were talking about it off the air, the back-to-backs with Berkeley. We referenced Brian Stratton several times. I mean, did you like it where you played these teams as many times as you did? Almost like a round robin. Think of it like when you were a kid, when you played sports, whether it was like Little League or CYO, when you had round robin. It reminded me of like round robin. Did you like that where it kind of set up this year with the schedule that way?
I mean, you're not even really thinking about it. When you're in the season, you're so locked in on just trying to get results. It was a little strange to get used to. I mean, the more of a stranger thing than playing the teams back to back was the amount of weekends that we had to play a Saturday and then play a Sunday, or play back to back days, or play 2 games in 3 days.
Berkeley was Saturday, Sunday. It was the second, if I recall correctly. It was the second and the third when you played Berkeley.
We played Berkeley on the second, and then we played the final on the third against Rochester. So yeah, that's a back to back, and then it prepares you for the national tournament because it's funny. I've had this conversation now with a few coaches and people, and it's like when you get to the national tournament, you can almost take the seeds and throw them in the garbage because it's 4 days, 3 games in 4 days, or 3 games in 3 days.
Right.
The best team's going to come out on top. The team that's most fit's going to come out on top. And I felt that way even playing the gauntlet schedule that we did this year, that, the best team's going to win, and you have to find a way. And it's not just 11 guys. You got to have your bench ready to go. You got to, from a coaching perspective, have that scout ready, be more prepared. So it's definitely, listen, it's a raise in competition. It's a raise in preparation. It's a raise in everything that you do. And you don't have as many practice days because now you're playing 18, 20 games. There's
I
not
know
as
you
many days
played
to
22
practice.
games. There were what did we play? 13 games or something like that.
13 last year,
Yeah,
13, and that was
13. I think what was the year before? 16 or 17. It was like
15, not even, maybe 15, and then the
so you're
year that
talking
we,
about that's a tremendous jump. So you're not going to practice out once a week or twice a week because you're going to probably have one game and then like we talked about just before, you had one game at Berkeley, then you had another game the next day, then you had the tournaments. So
yeah,
realistically speaking, you think about it, you played 22 games this year and you played the 22 games in not even 3 months. So if you do the math, you are averaging a game less than 5 days. In some cases, a game basically almost within a week. You could be playing twice in a week. So you're not going to practice these. But I was listening to something today on a podcast, and they were talking about Bill Belichick going to North Carolina, and it kind of ties into you because in the NFL you get 24 hours, right? Your players are 24 hours, but in college you really only get them 20. And then from your case, because you played as many games as you did, you're not going to work them for a practice because you're traveling. They have to go to class. What if they have other responsibilities? So realistically speaking, I mean, this is kind of where it is. So basically, it's got to be about what you even said. You said this to me in the first interview from 5 years ago. You're not just recruiting 13 guys, 16 guys. You're looking for 24 because you're now looking for those guys that maybe you could see something because of things that happen, because of things that, again, could be out of your control. So this is going to make the players that you have on this roster who stay here are going to be as in shape as they can be because of that competition within. And that's just kind of what I think we wanted this anyway. You wanted this a few years. Remember when you wanted more games? You came on here. We were like, what's going on here, coach? This game and that game. We couldn't talk about it off the air, but now we got what we wanted. So really, our players are in the position that they need to be because you programmed them for this when we had the issues of games not being scheduled the last few years.
yeah, that was again, I think it was almost with the interim AD title that, kind of just happened. I really was able to oversee the schedule and add the games that I felt we needed to really compete and to really challenge our guys. And I think that's why we were able to be there at the end, no question about it. And, when it came to practice, it was almost to a point where I would have to give them a day off extra a week, where instead of going 6 days a week, we'd go 5 because we'd give them Mondays off just because there was just no way after a Sunday of playing that I was going to bring them in Monday and when they got school. And, there's no full, even though we're in the scholarship division, we are not handing out full scholarships. Trust me, the kids are still paying a good
Yeah.
dollar to go to 5 towns. And, it's competitive. Don't get me wrong. We get the price to a good point, but they still have to work, and
Oh
that,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, there's no question that this school and there's a lot of obligations that everybody has and you have to be respectful of those things. I think there's no question that you did a fantastic job in guiding the team to all the success. And let's talk about a few players here. Let's talk about a couple players. Obviously, at the top, we have to start with those that have obviously been here and those who have just certainly been staples with the program over the years. And I always, for me, it just when I think about Five Towns, I think about all the years you've been here and all the success, it always for me comes down to Angel Chavez. Angel Chavez has another big year for you, double digits in goals. We've talked about him every single year we do this and talk about how big he was for this team this year.
He was one of our captains. He worked his butt off. When you're a senior, sometimes it's difficult at our level, and we've spoken about this, Tom, when you're not going pro and you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you see the bills, the bills come in and, what am I going to do for, real work after this? And I think Angel had to deal with a lot of adversity off the field, and he was still there for our guys and was able to lead and was able to work really hard. He struggled at times this year. I don't think he ever struggled as much as he did this year. But again, struggled. He had double-digit goals. So, I mean, how much are we really
I know.
talking about
But we've
struggling?
talked about it
He's
before with having 4-goal games. We've talked about him with hat tricks. We've talked about him having like 40-point seasons almost. And for
yeah,
him, this was a step down, but still compared to everybody else, it's still,
it's
one of the
still a
top.
great listen.
Yeah.
It's one of the top seasons still in program history. He's the all-time leading scorer. I believe the number is 60. He has 60
Yep.
career goals for us in 4
Yep.
years. It's going to be very hard for someone to even approach that number. So again, and then when you raise your level into Division One, Angel's a guy easily when teams scout us, they see what we want to do, and they key on him a little bit. But again, I thought he had a good year. I thought he had a good year leading. And I thought he gave everything he had for what he could give for everything he has going on. And I'm more proud of the man he's becoming and more proud of what he has lined up, after college. He has an idea what he wants to do and how he's going to support his family. And to me, that's what you, as a coach, your main job is to get them ready for life after college. And, he's ready to take it on, with a full head of steam. And I'm proud of him, a 3-year captain. So he really, he left his mark on our program for
Yeah,
sure.
he had just an amazing career, and I think back to the 21 team and just where he was and everything, and there's no question that his legacy speaks for itself. And then obviously the man that was our scorer this year, Hector Ruiz. I mean, 13 goals, and he had several big goals, multi-goal games, and he was the man this year. And another guy that certainly left an impression. And talk to me about Hector Ruiz.
I mean, Hector Ruiz probably arguably should have been, whatever you want to say, the player of the year.
I mean,
13
I didn't even.
goals,
I
10
was like,
assists.
I was waiting for that. That was like, what? Why did they not give him anything? Was there like, did he like look at a referee the wrong way? I mean,
Nah, listen, the kid from Bryan Stratton, Syracuse, is a good player. Again, when you get to that player of the year stuff, you have five. They narrow it down to about like five, and you had five really quality players. It could have went any way. Rochester has a solid kid as well. Stanton has a great player. So I mean, it could have went either way. But Hector had an amazing year. You want to talk about a guy who had to sit out a year, to
yep.
get his stuff right academically. And it got to the point where he played so well and he was leading so well. He actually got named the third captain right before nationals. He's magic. The way I describe it, watching him play, it's like magic. He's Harry Potter on a soccer field. He can make anything happen at any time. Morelli calls him a gun. He's a guy that, whatever analogy you want to say, he's
Well,
a
I've
gamer.
used that term before about explaining your players. I remember I used the term big guns, and he is one of those big guns that you had this year,
And you could play him, play him on the wing. You could play him in the middle. You could play him up top. And he just makes a difference, and he causes havoc on people. And he's such a selfless kid if you meet him off the field. And I think sometimes that kind of overwhelms him with the you want to say the recognition he gets. It almost overwhelms him because he's such a laid back kid, and he's really matured since we got him as a freshman. And I look forward to the next 2 years with him, being able to do some stuff that's really special.
No question about that. Although I know we're going to miss Andre Hickling, who certainly had really come into his own. I mean, he's a player that I think gradually became one of your top scorers, and we're going to definitely miss him after this year because he had some big moments for you guys. I think had 8 goals this year, and was a huge part of a number of things. I know we've spoke about him a lot over the years, and he was one of those players that really came on strong offensively for you.
Yeah, he had a good year. He definitely scored some big goals for us. He was plagued by injuries for a lot of the season. Like,
I think he missed some time, missed about 6 or 7 games.
Yeah,
right?
he missed some time. He had some stuff going on, and then in the national semifinal, his hamstring he couldn't play, and it really hurt us because we based a lot of our formation on Andre. But it also him missing those games has definitely prepared us to move forward. So in a way, with his injuries, and even with Angel missed a couple of games with some personal stuff, it actually has prepared us to move forward, because again, those are two big pieces that for 4 years, them and Campos, we rarely ever had to play without. So I think we'll be in a better, just a better situation to deal with it. But yeah, Andre had some really big games for us, and when we were playing well, Andre was playing well, so he was definitely a big part of our team.
No question about that. We'll certainly miss him. And also a player that had some really big goals for you, I think was actually your second leading scorer, Sebastian Kunika, we've spoke about him a lot in the past. And he's, I think, the guy we're going to count on going forward for next season, right, is to maybe fill some of that void a little further.
Yeah, Sebastian had a great year for us. He plays in the middle of the park. He really, him and Josue Fuentes, who's a senior, were able to dictate the point of play for us. Cuenca had some big penalty kick goals for us. He's definitely a big time player, and he's someone that is a game changer. And he had the big goal against
First
Berkeley.
team all conference this year. Yep.
Yeah, first team all conference, second team all American. So yeah, he's definitely a player that can make a big difference.
No question that to have him here, I think, is going to certainly build going forward. Then, at net for a second, Jose Garcia really was the man behind the pipes this year, and had some, big moments for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, as a freshman, again, he was a freshman from Brentwood High School, which, if anyone knows anything about high school soccer, they are the standard on Long Island. So I feel we didn't play great in front of him for most of the year, and as a freshman, he really stepped up for us. He was really
goals against him about 2, right? His goals
was it was about 2, which is pretty solid for a freshman for the amount of shots he was seeing, and his acrobatic saves are absolutely fantastic. He wants to win. He's a driven competitor. And he's definitely someone that, we want to just make sure he stays focused on his classes and getting things done, so, he can have a really successful career here, and, really continue to raise his game, as his time goes on here.
And he had big shoes to fill in Stephen Pagoya. I mean, we spoke about Stephen Pagoya for a long time here.
It was this summer. It was actually a crazy development because Stephen still had the extra year. And I was kind of like, hey, Steven, you're going to come back. And Steven was like, I don't need to come back. And I'm like, why? And he was just like, Garcia's better. Like, he was like, he's better. And he can, he's going to help you guys win. And, we had Eduardo, too, to back up Jose. So, but it was one of those things where Steven kind of saw it, like, before everyone else did, and was like, you know what, I'm better off working because I'm not going to get much time with this kid.
So but that's a pretty big endorsement, though. I mean, Pagoya, we spoke about here a lot over
huge
the years.
Endorsement, but I kind of knew what we had because Morelli had worked them out in, I want to say, what was it, April? And Tori doesn't, again, when like stuff with Hector,
we know that. I've had him here.
Tori doesn't really throw out praise like.
No. He's
like
very
too
humble,
much, but he called me up and said, "We got a stud, Jay. We got a stud in between the pipes. This kid is sick." And he played that way. He had a rough national semifinal. Which, listen, as a freshman, you're gonna have a rough point at some point. He picked that, not picked, but it happened at that moment, which was unfortunate. But we're not there if it wasn't for Jose. Like, we're not sniffing the national semifinal.
He was turning his team. I mean,
he had a great year. I don't want to.
He played some tough games. We spoke about Westbury, Chestnut Hill, the Brian Stratton teams, Berkeley. I mean, it was like, again, for him to have 2 goals against, considering the amount of games and teams you played, I think that going forward for the future is why we're really excited about 2025 and why I think that this team's going to continue to advance even further in the USCAs.
Your mouth to God's ears. That's.
I know you're waiting. You want that ring. I know it. We're all waiting for it. I think we had it in 21. I know you're waiting for it, but I'm confident about the program because you have a guy in net. And I think if Pagoya's endorsed him, especially everything what Pagoya did for us over these years, I think that that's certainly going to really bode well for the future. And I got to talk about a guy that was in my chat a couple of times last week. And if I don't give him a shout out, because I know he'll check this out eventually, I will certainly hear this till the end of time. Edward Washington. Talk to me about what Edward Washington provided for you guys this year.
Edward Washington as a freshman that's another one that Morelli looked at, was like, that's a great, like, we look at our recruiting class this year and there's, Edward, Jose, JP, three
Yep.
like really solid pieces that are pieces moving forward that are good. And Christian Alvarez, who I
Yep.
can't forget Christian Alvarez. Those
Yep.
four, and it's not even just that they're talented. They work their butt off, and all they want to do is win. And they've come from winning programs, and they're just blue collar kids. Edward Washington, he's a coach's dream because he just works. Like, he doesn't know any other way but to work his butt off up and down the line defensively. He is going to be a cornerstone on our back line, and he's doing well in the classroom too. He's an Amityville kid, which, again,
Yep.
Brentwood, Amityville. There's
I
a
know
common theme here.
Amityville from
The
basketball. Yep.
Amityville,
Heenan,
Amityville
Lawrence.
soccer
Yep. Yep.
is a state. They coach. Shout out to Coach Mike over there. They do a hell of a job, and Edward's a big piece for us. Look, moving forward, he's going to be a starter and a guy that's really going to
And I think he
continue
wants
his
to be on
trajectory.
sports. And I think Edward Washington wants to be on Sportswire. I think that's what he wants.
Really? Because Edward Washington, to me, he's probably one of the more quiet guys on the team. So
He was in my chat. He was commenting. He was going. I'm like, wow, okay.
I love it. Okay, I love it. All right.
I mean, listen.
I'm for it.
You're the athletic director for now, so I'm going to leave that at that. But I mean, I think I'm excited when we have these players. You talk about Christian Alvarez, who's going to be big for us. John Pasanti, another player that you referred to. So I feel like that what's always going to help you is that you're always building. Yes, it's tough that we're going to lose Chavez, we're going to lose Hickling, we're going to lose a few other players. But the fact that we still have Kunika here, we've still got some players. Eric Gyron, I think, is going to be here for another year, right? So we've got some players that are going to still be with this team. Plus, we've got those younger players that maybe got more action than you would have normally thought and did this considering who we played and where we were from a competition standpoint. That's only going to make them stronger. And again, guys like John Pasanti, guys like Christian Alvarez, who you mentioned, will certainly go along that to continue to build the identity that you've built, which has gotten us to 50 wins in 5 years.
I agree. And I think next year's team is going to be, and this is not a knock on this year's team, but I think next year's team is going to be more of your lunch pail, hard hat. Let's work really hard. Let's be physical. Let's be tenacious. Let's grind out wins. It might not be as pretty as this year, but they're going to find ways to win. That's what I'm really looking forward to. The senior that you haven't really mentioned, and who I would say is going to be the biggest goodbye, is Anthony Campos.
I was about to get to him next.
Anthony Campos, I don't think there's a coach on our staff that won't shed a tear when he graduates. What can you say about him? The kid played 3 different positions over his 4 years, was an All-American in all 3 of them. Went back and played center back this year when really, as a senior, it was probably the worst news I could tell him, but he did it for the betterment of the team, and I was so happy he was named the first team All-American because he really deserved it, and he held down our back line. We ran an offside.
And he was a guy last year, if I recall correctly, he was a guy that you counted on more for offense, but this year played more of a different role because I remember when we did the interview last year, we spoke about him in the context of getting us some big goals, whereas this year he provided a different element to have given us the success that we had this year, if I recall correctly.
100%. Daniel Bajos got injured, and we thought we had 1 or 2 recruits in at center back that we found out late that we weren't going to get. That combined with Andre Hickling's injuries and, just unable, from a fitness standpoint, we were really forced to put Anthony there. And it was a move that I know Anthony didn't like. He didn't tell me that, but I knew he didn't like it. I mean, you go from, you work so hard for 3 years and then you think you're going to be the shining star in the middle and, you're going to wear number 10 and do all these things. And yeah, you're wearing number 10, but you're going to play center back. And he played a pivotal role for us. Again, a first team All-American, and he really, he was a big reason why we ended up being the number 3 team ranked in the in Division 1 in the USCAA.
But that says a lot about your players in the fact that, you know what, Campos was a guy that provided some offense for us. And yet, because he still wanted to be here and still be productive, he played a different role. I think that speaks volumes. We spoke about Chavez earlier and that amazing first year as a rookie, what he did. And I know that this year still wasn't what it was compared to the rookie year, but he still hung in there. You had a number of guys that I think for the betterment of the team maybe played more of a role that I'm sure they would not have wanted to play, but because they've bought in, it's always 11 hearts beating as one here at Five Towns. It's always family here. They did it, and that's why I think that this team, in really, again, a really tough year, I know last year we talked about, considering everything, it was a successful year, but you had played 22 games. You played NCAA school after NCAA school. You played number 1 ranked here, number 2 ranked there. And you really, realistically speaking, because of those players buying in and always being with that identity of 11 hearts beating as one as family, we were still able to have the kind of success that we had the first year in D1. I mean, think about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an unbelievable credit to our guys and our program and our coaching staff. And again, this was not, forget about even just transitioning to Division 1, the inconsistency of the leadership in the athletic department. I was pulled away from things that I didn't want to get really necessarily pulled away from, but for the betterment of the department, like, we had to do it, and we found a way. And I just think it's just going to make us better for the future. And it's not saying we're not going to miss the guys that we're losing, but they definitely help set a standard for Division 1, because, hey, it would have been easy to take a step back. It would have been easy to not make nationals this year. Hey, it's a transition year. You don't really have, by the time we moved to Division 1, it's not like we had all this athletic scholarship that we got to throw at kids. It was late. So it wasn't really that sort of thing. And even now, it's not really, we're going to be giving out some stuff, but it's not like we're giving out full rides like some of the schools we're playing against. But
Sure.
With that being said, we're going to find a way to compete. We're going to find a way to recruit the best players we can and bring them together and make them a family and have them, beat all together and find a way to win soccer games. And that's the goal.
I have no doubt about all of that. We are here with the head coach of the Five Town Sound men's soccer team. He is also the assistant. He is the interim athletic director. He is also here an assistant with the women's soccer team. He's the head coach of the men's amputee soccer team. And he's done it all really at Five Towns. He is Mr. Jason Fiscina. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally. We're all sports matters here. Let me get to some comments here real quick. Some people here wanted to pop in. Zilla said she subscribed to the Five Towns
Awesome.
men's and women's soccer YouTube channel, so she wanted to say hi. My buddy Nathaniel Rage popped in, said hello. Of course, the man, the goat of Pez. The goat of Pez collecting, which I still have to get him back onto Sportswire and talk about what other Pez collection he's got. I will do it. I will.
I hear it every, Don't go radio silent on Johnson.
No. He liked my Instagram story. He likes my Instagram post, but I appreciate. Yes, it's been a while. Although usually I have to wait once a year, but I got you after the amputee soccer team announcement, so it's actually not as short.
Fair enough. That's true.
And is Coach underwater? That camera looks fine. Coach G wanted to comment on my beard, but he said you're missing the mustache from. I think it was last appearance. I think it might have been, but
I got rid of the mustache. I got rid of the stash a little bit.
You were at Malloy. They were winning games. Coach G's at Malloy, and
don't listen. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there. You don't want to go down that road. Don't go down that road. I'm not co-signing that road because I'm going to hear tomorrow morning how selfish I am if you continue this conversation. So,
all right. Well,
listen, they're going through a tough time. It's as I said earlier, the recruiting dynamic is changed, and
Sure.
coach has developed the few kids that were freshman rookie of the years, and then they transfer to go in the portal and transfer. No one's really
No,
staying, and
I honestly, all serious aside, knowing Coach Gordiesso's recruiting skills at previous stops, I do think that the program's going to get there. And
yeah.
I think that with the background there and the schedule they play, I do think that they'll be back. And they usually play a little bit better in conference. So I think
Yeah,
that
in conference a little bit better, and I just look at even when I was there, like there's no way Petro stays 4 years
well,
with the transfer portal. There's no way. Like we were lucky there was no portal back then, so
yeah.
he stayed at Malloy for 4 years.
Petro, hopefully you get some residuals from Petro's earnings overseas.
I don't get a dime, but it's all
I
good.
know that.
His wedding was a great time, though. I'll be honest.
I saw
Great
that on
wedding.
Instagram. I
It was a
definitely
good
saw
time.
that.
It was a good time.
Also, Jeff wanted to say he's part Amish, Jason. So that's what Jeff. Yes, Five Towns is definitely a true international success story because of the success that we've had. Hello there from obviously Coach Litwin. I put some links in there. Coach Litwin's 2-year anniversary is at Five Towns. So yes, and that was, I think, he came on here right around the first time that he got the job, or maybe the first week or so, because he was here 3
Early
times.
on. Yeah. He
Right.
probably got in, I want to say, in like February we got him on.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely for 2 years. Shout out to Coach Lit. He's doing a great job. His women were right there. Probably should have been at nationals.
I'm not going to ask you about that.
We're not going to touch that.
I said my piece on it last week.
And those girls and Jeff know how I feel about it, so we're good. And they know
and I think that
them.
what, as I said last week on the show, I think that Jeff is going to get a chance now to stamp his team and his identity. Like, that's what it's about. You've been able to be successful here because you've put your identity into the program. I think that Jeff now is starting to do that. Now this is going into the 3rd season he's had a chance to coach the girls. And I think that look at what this team did, 9 wins this year and the success that they had. I mean, like, who would have guessed? We talked about this last week. If you would have told me that the women's team would have beat all these NCAAs, Tidal, Westbury, I would have said, 4 wins. I would have been, all right, 4, maybe 5. But to go win as many games as we did, to be number 6 in the USCAs, and I mean, just a fantastic job there. I mean, just a fantastic.
And they've done great. And, it's just going to get better. The best is yet to come for them.
Absolutely, no question about that. And I have to bring it up because Coach G had wanted to bring it up about this whole thing in Olive. We talk about this every time you're here. You say you don't go to Olive Garden.
Though. Yeah, I don't. And he's just he again. You see how I'm a nice guy. You tried to throw a dig and I stop it. He's continued with this narrative. He hasn't
been on Sportzwire in a while. I mean,
it's been a little bit of a time, and he has this narrative that I go to Olive Garden, and I've never stepped foot in the place, and I never will. So,
okay,
that's where we are with that.
I would think an Italian guy from Long Island isn't going to Olive Garden.
Even in Pittsburgh, we were trying to find places, and the guy's like, "Hey, we're going to go to Olive Garden," and I said, "Absolutely not. It's not happening." Nice. No, we're gonna go.
They had an Olive Garden, I want to say, in Benton or in Caesars Bay, and I would always pass by it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going there.
I'm not going in. I'm not going in.
Now, the guy that was leveling up as a coach, certainly that shall not be named. I'm sure you could see him there all the time trying to level up at Olive Garden, but I don't think that, Coach G is going to Olive Garden, and you're going to Olive Garden.
No, it's definitely not on my places to go, for sure.
I don't know something about it, but we'll move on from that. Shout out to Coach G. Coach is always on that recruitment grind. Yes, we quite an accurate statement there. That's why Dane. No, he's also quite the recruiter in Pez collections.
No one recruits like Dane for Pez.
I think he'd be the greatest Pez collector of all time. It's still actually one of my more higher viewed shows I did at that period.
I know. I'm not surprised.
It was still, I think people wanted to hear more about Pez collectibles than the latest backyard wrestler getting beat up on Sportzwire. Thank you, Zilla, for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Coach Litwin's favorite is Christian.
Oh,
Albert.
yes. And listen, Christian, we could talk about him for a second.
Yes,
Christian
please.
was a kid I targeted early because he's a plain edge kid like I am. Went to the same high school. So watching him play, and he plays similar to kind of how I used to play, which is just all out really hard all the time. He has only one speed, and he's such a great kid. And you want to talk about someone who's just happy to be at Five Towns and happy to be playing. He just wants to win, and he wants to do whatever it takes to win. He's so supportive of even the women's program. I don't think he missed a game. He was always there to support the women. For us, whatever I asked him to do, right back, forward, right mid, whatever the position was, he was ready to play. And I'm excited for his development. I think he really came on as a goal scorer, scores the winner against Berkeley,
Yep.
gets all tournament team. And I'll never forget, you lose 3-0 and they do this award ceremony and they announce like, coach of the year and all this stuff. And I'm like, whatever. And then to see his face when he got all tournament team, and obviously, Darren at Rochester, like, who do you want for the all tournament team? So I told them who, and he was all surprised, and to see like his little smile on his face because he's such a team guy, for him to get some individual award, it was nice to see because again, he works his butt off.
No question about that. If you'd like to sub to the FTC Soccer YouTube channel, I'd like you to do that. I'll put the link up here in the description. I want to say hello to my buddy Nathaniel Rage, who was back in and wanted to put the soccer emoji there. He wanted to put the soccer emoji, and he's got a YouTube channel, House of Rage Productions. Definitely check it out. But speaking of individual awards, I have to give you and the team a couple before I transition to the remaining 30 or so minutes of the show. So let me do this first of all, because congratulations, Coach. 50 games at Five Towns College. You got my John Hancock. You got this here. So I wanted to give you a little something. But I also, I want to make sure, it's always 11 hearts beating as one. And I don't want to just make it about Coach Fiscina because, like you said, other coaches might be tuning into this and they would say it's all about Coach Fiscina. Not so fast, because just like last week when it was FTC Women's Soccer Day, it's now FTC Men's Soccer Day here on this date, December 12th, on all of our Sportswire radio platforms. So I know that the team will certainly be appreciative that, especially Mr. Edward Washington, who I know was tuning in here, and guys, obviously, about Angel Chavez, who've been here before, and, other people who I know have tuned in here over the years. So if you'd like to check it out, obviously, this is the FTC Men's Soccer team. You can check them out on Instagram, FTC Men's Soccer. Give the women's soccer team a plug, FTC Women's Soccer, and also here on all Sportswire radio platforms, including YouTube, including TikTok, including Twitch, including Tumblr at Sportswire Radio, Facebook at Sportswire Radio, Facebook at Tom Bryce, Facebook at the Sports Report X, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, Facebook at Sports Report X, my personal page on Facebook, X at Thomas Bryce 2017, and here on SportsWireRadio.org. It is FTC Men's Soccer Day. We appreciate the team for 5 years. Coach Fiscina and the program has been coming on here, and we wouldn't be where we are today without the Five Town Sound Athletics program. We will always be hearing the sound loud and proud. There will always be a better than golden era here. We will certainly not need no bloodhounds apply. We will certainly be leveling up here like there is no tomorrow with the FTC men's soccer team and all of the great programs. And shout outs to the esports coach, Evan Leader. I was spoken to the coach a few times now. Obviously, Coach Jakes is always out there and kicking some butt and winning games. And even Coach Drizel, we always want to say hello to him. And men's teams won back-to-back games, so a lot of good things ahead. And I'm looking forward to that. But I'll take this off the screen and remove this for a minute. But I do want to talk to you about a role that I haven't got a chance to talk with you on for a few minutes before I transition, and that's being the interim athletic director. And that's a big responsibility. And I was wondering, just how do you juggle that with being the head coach for the men's soccer team here at Five Towns? Because that's a lot of responsibilities. I had on the athletic director before at John Jay. Obviously the previous director here came on a couple times, and it's a job with a lot of responsibilities. And I'm just curious on just how is that like been this year, juggling being the interim AD here and also the men's soccer coach?
A lot of work, and you forget that this is not my full-time job at all. Like, I'm a school teacher first, so it's been a lot of hours. My wife will tell you it's a lot of hours. But it was just, honestly, it was something that just kind of, they thought they had somebody. We had somebody in August. He left.
Yeah,
by
I remember
September.
hearing something about that. I think we spoke about a couple things, and we thought we had somebody, and that's how it goes sometimes.
It didn't work out. That's how it goes. And then another person was offered the job, and then decided not to come. So we've had a few people in. I'm pretty excited though, because there's some possibilities that I think are going to come out in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk off air about that, Tom. But I think there's some possibilities that are really exciting. Obviously, I never thought in my life I'd be a college athletic director in any way, shape, or form. That's not, who I am. I'm a coach. But it has been cool to kind of connect with the other teams. Not that I never didn't support the other
Oh,
teams,
you were
but now have
always active with we had the
now,
volleyball team
yeah,
here. We
now
had Thomas O'Keefe when he was
and we're
here.
actually trying to rebuild the volleyball team right now. Shout out Matt Toner, who actually
Yes.
teaches at my school. He's now the new volleyball coach at Five Towns, and he's working hard to have a competitive team coming this fall for both men and women. So that's exciting. But again, it's been definitely a lot of work. A lot more calls with Giselle and Jocks that I probably wasn't on earlier, but now Drizelle's now probably in the cell phone favorites, of people I talk to daily.
Well, he's been here, but he's been here a long
He's been here
time.
a long time,
He's been
and we were
stable.
always
He's done a
we
good job. I
yeah
we
he's
joke
oh he's
about
done
him
a hold it.
sometimes.
Yeah, he's done a great job. My thing is more just we would see each other in the office and talk, but now I feel like we've gotten a lot closer because now it's like every day, there's something going on that we have to update each other on, and we help keep each other, going on the right path because there's stuff that goes on that it's not easy all the time, but it's been a lot. But I would be lying to say if I didn't say I've been enjoying it because I absolutely have, and the opportunity to run an athletic department again is something that was never in my wildest dreams or thoughts. So
But I think you've
we're
done a
moving
good
forward.
job with it because the esports team is very active right now. The women's basketball team is obviously right behind you guys. Coach Drizelle's, I think, got a good team this year. They've played a lot better of late, and they've obviously played a schedule with some tough games on there. And I think that they're going to be ready for a big second half. We spoke about Jeff Everso going, so I kind of feel like where you are right now is the interim AD. All the teams are really gelling here right now at the right time almost. I kind of feel like this is almost the best time to be the interim. I know it's obviously a lot to do this for like as a long-term thing, but like right now where we are, Corey, goes without saying. Greg's done a great job. He's been here. He's been a constant. Jeff is now starting to build the identity. We got Evan here now. You talked about Toner. So I think we've got the people in place that you're really doing a great job right now.
Appreciate it. And we're just trying to, give the kids the best experience they can and get them through their 4 years and have them enjoy it and have them play the sports that they love. So it's enjoying. It's definitely an enjoyable, but again, a lot of late nights, a lot of long hours.
I'm sure.
A lot of early morning phone calls, a lot of call. My phone probably between 6 to 7, and then from 2:30 to 3:45. It's constant Five Towns, constant, stuff. And I'm still running a soccer team too on top of it. So it's not even like I can ignore that.
You got your job, you got a young family, you got the
Yep.
amputee soccer team. So you're wearing a lot of hats. I shouldn't bring this up, but I will bring it up because, some of the wrestlers, they've obviously seen that, Five Towns has been coming here throughout the years, and I shouldn't bring it up, but I will. But some of the wrestlers were saying, well, Tom, maybe you should put your hat in the ring for something. I'm like, I don't know about that. Some of the wrestlers, they were, pushing me. And I was like, I don't know if we want to go down that road, because they were like saying, well, we got this juggernaut here on Sportswire. We have all these different people that come on. We have obviously the subscribers. We're paid on YouTube, Facebook. We're in the thousands. TikTok. I'm almost, I don't know quite say I'm a TikTok influencer, but I get a lot of people that follow me on TikTok in a short amount of time. So again, not me, but I just wanted to say that some of the wrestlers, they have been, noticing that, we got the Five Towns again. They've been saying, I don't know if they want to hit a chair over the head, but I don't know if we want to see like a rockin' jock, stream on Sportswire with a basketball player and a wrestler. I don't know if that's the route we go, or I don't know what it is, but I know people have been pushing me to ask you about this. So, again, not me. Not for me. I think that what you do with Five Towns and everybody that's there, let the professionals do it. I'm not a professional coach. I'm not a professional SID and AD. I think it's hard enough to do what I do, and I'll leave it to the professionals. That's just what I like to tell the wrestlers.
Listen, Tom, if there's something you want to do in life, you go after it, you go get it, So that's all I'll say on that. If there's something you want, go after it, go get it. You have nothing to lose.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there is a way that we could talk about it off the air, but if there's obviously a way that we can, connect more, that would be fine. But I like people to follow the athletics program 5towns_sound, FTC men's soccer Instagram, FTC women's soccer also on Instagram, YouTube. Check out the soccer team. Also check out everything related to 5 Towns. They're on Facebook as well. 5 Towns Sound, 5 Towns men's soccer as well. Okay, so I obviously want to transition at the end to the U.S. amputee team, but I have this couple more things here on this. I know you're a very busy man, but what are your goals for 25? What are the goals for 2025?
To win a national championship. It's the same goal every year. It's really boring. It's really not, anything new, but to get better and, to get there, you got to get better every single day. So it's the little goals of getting better every day and getting results, and then, getting as many results you need to, make your conference playoffs, and then to, go further in your conference playoffs, and to, make it to nationals. So it's just getting the grind of dare to be better every single day. That's what it's about. And, obviously, our grades have been better than they've ever been. I don't know if that's a tribute to the fact that, the grades are now going directly to me as the athletic director. So now guys are a little bit more focused in school. So if that's the case, God bless.
That's a good thing, actually.
That's a good thing. I think it is. So, obviously graduation is going to always be a goal as well. So
absolutely. And that's always been at this level. I will say it, to be serious for a moment, that's always been, I think, what's most important. Yes, we love to see like Damani Merritt playing, I think, in Lithuania, Jordan Tobin's playing overseas. Those things are great. But I think realistically, what's even better is when we see all of our players graduate, become really productive members of society, go out there and just do even better things than they were on the court or on the field. And I think that's where it counts here most into what your footprint is going to be remembered for here at 5 Towns. Yes, the 50 wins. Yes, the conference championships, number 1 ranked this year, number 3. But I think ultimately where we've left our mark is so many of our players who, maybe the upbringings were difficult and tough, and they came from places, whether it's in parts of Long Island or parts of Queens, but they came here. And you with everybody else, and obviously shout out to Dr. Cohn as well. We want to make sure Dr. Cohn gets a huge shout out there, and everybody that's been here at 5 Towns to help. I think that's where you should want to come to 5 Towns. If you watch this tonight, or if you watch this down the road, whatever it is, what you should take away is, yes, we love 5 Towns. We joke, yes, but 50 wins is even better. But really, to me, what's the most important is what you take away from this is that 5 Towns is a place that's going to help you in terms of where you want to go in life, whether that's business management, whether it's music, whether it's radio, whether it's television, whatever you want to find your niche in, 5 Towns is the place to do that. Yes, we're going to help you now that we can help with that scholarship. Yes, we can help you in terms of giving you that opportunity to play and have a really good career and go out there and do some things, maybe win a ring, just have your memory. But what's going to most impact you and your family is come to 5 Towns, see what this campus has to offer, see what the programs we have, get immersed in it, and I'm telling you, you're going to be 10 times better off than you would have went to anywhere else. So anything you take away from this tonight, whether it's whatever Coach Fiscina said about anything else about this player and that win, or what I said, what's most you take away is at 5 Towns, we care about you not just as an athlete, but we care about you as an individual. And that's why at 5 Towns, and here's why I've continued to cover 5 Towns for 5 years, not just because of, yes, we get some content, we have some fun, yes, you've helped build the platform, but really because at 5 Towns, it's about family. It's about 11 hearts beating as one. It's about everybody here at Five Towns College supports each other. And that's why I will continue to support Five Towns College. I will continue to do anything I can humanly possible to not only support the men's soccer team, not only support the women's soccer team, but the esports program when volleyball gets started up. Surely the men's and women's basketball team, whatever else I can do, because that's why Five Towns has been the place to be and why it's been so successful. I just wish I would have went to Five Towns, Coach.
That was amazing sort of segment you just went on there. Appreciate all the kind words, and yeah, it's been a special place, and it's a place that's continuing to build, and where I'm lucky to be their head coach and to be their interim athletic director right now as well. And it's funny. The other day I was in a meeting and it was like, well, you have to have your admin hat on, and it's like I only know how to be a coach. I don't know how to be. I'm not an administrator. I'm always going to be a coach first. That's just who I am. But like getting back to the school, it's just it's a really great place to get your degree and to, if you have an opportunity to play sports.
I think it's a great college. It really,
yeah.
I got to be honest, leave aside that we've been working together for so many years. But this college, I mean, you got a first-class radio station. You got a first-class social media field. You got broadcasters that they sound better than when I heard Bob Costas call the Yankees and Royals game in the ALDS. I mean, I hear so many talented people here at this school doing so many different things. And that's, to me, what I remember most. And I think that that's what everybody should take away about Five Towns. And you have been here with that. You have been that staple. And I think that whatever comes with this role, like I said, it's an interim, so I don't know what the future is with that. I'm sure we'll find out. We'll talk about that if there's something that comes. But what you've done right now is continue to give this school and this athletics department that stability to continue to be successful, because not every school has that. You know that. You've been at some big places. You've won. But I think we've really, like I said, had an identity. Let me ask you a couple more things here. If there's one or two moments that stood out most this year, what would they have been?
Moments that stood out most this year for me. Senior day was, we had two kind of senior days because half the families could make one day, half the families could make the other day. Winning both, we won 4-1 on the Saturday, and then we won 6-0 on the during the week. So that was a good moment for us. The Chestnut Hill game we spoke about,
Yep.
tying Old Westbury early on in the year kind of verified some things for us. The wins over Medgar and the wins over York were great. Were great as well.
CUNY schools, yep, always good to be.
Yeah, and then getting back to the national semifinal. The national. I mean, the first game at nationals. The 50th win. That definitely was a special moment for the program and a special moment for us as a team and as a coaching staff as well. So overall this year, I think it was just a consistent year. It wasn't like too high. Beating Berkeley in the conference semifinal was
always
exciting.
want to beat Berkeley here.
And
they
had a lot
for 5 years.
They had a lot going on in their program this year, and they were right there. They were up top, in wins in the country and all that stuff. And they get we tied them at their place, and then to get a result a week later, score a late goal to win it. Definitely was exciting because they had broken our hearts the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So to kind of get them back a little bit, it was time. It was 2 years of losing to them in the conference final. It was nice to return the favor. So
and I think beating Manor in the USCA,
yes,
that was a big win for us. I think that was
because even like the USCA, I got interviewed after, and it kind of mentioned like, hey, it kind of solidifies, that you guys deserve to be here. Because again, sometimes with the rankings, sometimes teams are not ranked where they're supposed to be, and it's our first year in Division I, so it's like we're the new kids on the block, and we're ranked third in the country. That's a high ranking for a team.
Yeah, I think that was really just what an impressive accomplishment. I know we've had big years, we've had big accomplishments before, but like, I think that's, to me, what I would look back on the season. Number 3 in the USCAs. I think tying Old Westbury, tying Chestnut Hill. I think beating Medgar, beating York. This is a platform that, was born in a lot of ways out of the CUNY. So for us at Little Five Towns to beat CUNY schools, I think that's a huge deal. I think going to Merchant, 1,100 people playing there. I think to have beaten Berkeley in the semifinals, and I think the Manor win. I think those were, to me, I'm going to look at and say those are great building blocks for 25. And when we're returning guys like Ruiz and Gyron and, Washington, we spoke about Kunika. We have a lot of players, Pasanti, and, we have a lot of great players coming back, and you're already recruiting. So I feel like, to me, we're in position for another big year. And I think that you got a real shot to get the brass ring. I know 21, we were there. We were like right there. But I think, you could talk about just, you talked about Hickling being injured. And I don't know if that's a what if, but like, I really think next year, if you think about where we are, I think position for a big year next year once again.
Again, things got to work out. We're still very early on, and we haven't signed anyone officially yet. But no, you very much hit it on the nail. I think right now, if you look at our history, I would say, aside from 21, this is probably the best team we've had.
Because
I
last
know.
year it was like I didn't know we'd get in. The last
Yeah, and
years
the
was like,
last 2 years were kind of like that, and it kind of was like.
I think 22 we had the cushion because of 21 that we knew we were getting it, but last year was like we didn't know if we were getting in the
The
USC.
number
Remember,
of game, yeah,
like
the number of games really hurt us, and it was just, that was
but I
being
think it
so
was who
close.
we played. I think what that was our advantage. We had the
Yes,
pedigree, but we didn't
100%.
know. We didn't know. I mean, like
And,
think of
and
it like
and not to cut you off, but like literally last year, you get there, and then yes, we were winning 1-0 on Wales, who wins the Division Two national championship, but we still didn't win a game at nationals last year. So that left like a real to go all that way and not win a game. It's like it's a bad like the warm fuzzy feeling of, oh, you made nationals goes right away. When you don't win. So like this year to get a result. And, again, we were 1 day away from playing for a national championship. So,
yeah.
right there, but close, but not close enough. We get back
But
to work, and that's
But
where
you
we're
know
at.
what? I mean, and just to sum it up real quick, and I want to say hello to Gideon8040. So I'd like to say hello. What's up? How you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you for following us on Twitch. Thank you for I'm on Twitch right now. I'm on a lot of platforms. But 19 was like we were this little school, Field of Dreams. Like who were we? Right? We
Yeah.
beat Berkeley. That was that. 20 was COVID, but 21 was like just a dream. It was like number one. It was almost like a movie, right? 22 was basically like, we were good, but we had some setbacks. 23 was basically we had setbacks that we couldn't control, and we didn't know if we were going to make it. But this year, it was a good team. This was a solid meat and we had some stars, but in terms of the record, this was a meat and potatoes 12-win team, tied in 4 others, tied against NCAA schools, and deserved to be there. I don't think there was any doubt. If people would have said last year, well,
Nah,
there
yeah.
was no doubt that this team deserved to be where they were. And I think that's why next year, and you still have a lot of players returning, those players are going to be they're going to learn from what they went through this year. And I think it's going to be even the best is yet to come. And yes, I stream every day, Gideon, but that's just what I wanted to say on that. And I think that we're really excited about the program. I got to bring it up in the interest of time because I know you were a busy man. You probably have people you're going to recruit right now and everything else, but
I'm good, Tom.
I have to talk about but still I have to talk about the amputee soccer team. I know Paige obviously did a great job with the women's team, but you have some stuff coming up here. And would you like to talk about? I know we have a seminar here on the 18th.
Yeah, a seminar on the 18th. Anyone that wants to get involved with amputee soccer should log in, and it's going to be ran by both Coach Palazzolo and myself, and we're going to talk about the building of the regional teams, which is the heartbeat of the American Amputee Soccer Association is building out those regional teams so we can play as many games as possible locally, training weekly, and that will make our national team even better. So the growth of the regional teams is important. So that seminar is going to be great. It's going to be 1 hour. It's just going to be how to start a team, how to get involved, and then maybe how to run a training session. But it'll be very good. Looking forward to it. And then aside from that, I'm getting ready. The men are going to Costa Rica, Martin Luther King weekend, basically.
Wow.
So we leave on the Thursday. We come back Sunday night or Monday morning. We're going to play Costa Rica and Guatemala, it seems like, and some friendlies over there. So I'm excited to finally coach a game, because I haven't done that yet on the amputee level on the international stage. So it's going to be an exciting, month. And yeah, it never stops moving, Tom. It never stopped. It's just one thing after, you just kind of get through it. But I'm
What's
excited
that
to,
going to be like for you? I know you've been overseas before, but what's that going to be like this time to be
not
coaching?
not overseas like this where you're coaching
No,
a
obviously
international
not.
team.
But I
No,
mean,
it's gonna.
you
I'm
know,
sure it's gonna be an amazing experience. I'm really looking forward to it, and there are some other events that I can't speak on that are in the works right now for the summertime, and then we have World Cup qualifiers. So before you know it, we'll be trying to qualify for the 26 World Cup. So I mean, it's
which
coming fast. So we meet twice a month remotely. Guys do their running in the group chat. They post how they're working out and stuff, and then we meet as a national pool group of players twice a month, and we go over stuff and we watch video and we go over tactics and we do things like that. So it's exciting. It's definitely it's been fun. It's been a really great experience. Shout out, Eric Lamberg, the president, for giving me this opportunity, and I'm looking to get some wins and qualify for the next World Cup. That's the goal right now. So
I got to ask you this question, just to take it back to Five Towns with this, because I
yeah.
know we've spoke about this before, but do you get asked a lot now with the players about this, if they want to get involved, or even as the interim AD, is there anything that comes up a lot with? I know Paige, it's a totally different thing because doesn't have these responsibilities, with all the utmost respect. But do you get asked a lot at the school or with the team to intersect with this at all, or how does that
Well, to give you
play
an
out?
idea, it's really awesome. The team trained at Five Towns this summer, which was
I
great. So
see
our
that.
guys actually scrimmaged with them. It's just something that it's a good opportunity for everybody involved. It gives my guys perspective on what hard work is. It gives them a life perspective, and for our amp group, it was a great session for them to go play against. Like I had a straight up scrimmage against. They played each other, and just the benefits of my amputee guys having to try to keep up with the Five Towns guys. It was a good experience. And then again, having the camp at Five Towns, it's great because then even not just for our athletic department, but for our VP of admissions was there, and other people at the college were able to watch our guys work out. I think for me, I never realized the credibility and the extra exposure it's given me that I'm very thankful for. I feel like now I'm in rooms and I'm respected by people that, as a little college coach, I never probably would have spoken to these people. And now I'm in rooms with them and they know my name. And even, when I go recruit, like kids know about it. Kids are like, wow, it's really cool, coach. You coach a national team. And, it's definitely something that has definitely helped me, kind of get my name out there even more, which I looked at it as I was just coaching another team. I was going to be able to go out of the country and, represent the United States. I never saw the other side of it. So, it's been a great experience. But
Well, it's
again,
a
I'm
big
looking
thing.
forward
I
to
mean,
coaching.
the United States, to coach your country. I mean, think about it. Like, to coach your country. We
Yeah.
spoke about this when you got the job, like 7 or 8 months ago. But to be able to now have the title, have some responsibility with it, getting ready to go travel overseas with it. I mean, that's just a tremendous accomplishment. And then again, to be here at Five Towns, it almost kind of all comes together at once. You're the interim AD and you got this job, and it's just kind of
Yeah,
intertwined almost. It's
I'm
just
just kind of trying to ride the wave a little bit. It's kind of, I'm trying to enjoy it because I know the interim like let's be 100% transparent. From when the job opened up, I was never going to be the long-term solution as the athletic director. Dr. Cohen established that with me early on because, he knows my full-time job as a teacher is something that I've worked my entire life to be, and to kind of
sure.
push that to the side, that's not going to happen. And
Some
that even
people
goes
might
with
have
coach.
thought about that though. Like some people
Yeah, you
would have
know
been
what? I
thinking,
have two kids at home that I have to take care of, and it's just not it's not in the cards. The
Sure.
stability is just not. It's not there for
Understood.
when you compare careers. So yeah, I'll be in the teaching field for my life. I know that. I'm a
No,
teacher coach.
I would tell people if you're teaching, please go teach. But I know for people like me in my community, they would say, no, you should go. That would be exactly,
Again,
for you. But I mean,
if
everybody's different.
before Lauren and Madeline, and maybe when Beth and I were dating back when I was coaching
Sure.
at Malloy, like would that have been an option? Sure, but not right now. Not
No,
now.
no, no,
I'm
and
too
I think
established.
it's so
Yeah.
with that job is extremely important, and we thank all our teachers, and they had to deal with people like me in school, so obviously we want to thank them, and no, seriously, ask my mother. She sometimes watches these shows now, and she would certainly agree with that. But I do want people to follow before we sign off here tonight. I'd like people to follow the U.S. amputee soccer team because there are so many important things you need to do to support them for not just because it's our country, but also because there's a lot of things they do in the community, and they work so hard, and nobody's getting paid here to do this. They're doing this because they love the sport. They have so many obstacles,
Yeah.
but yet they go out there and work 10 times harder than anybody else would. So if this
I,
is their page, go ahead.
and let's shout out our women's program.
Yes.
Kind of taking the Five Towns way. First year for inaugural program goes to the World Cup final. That's an unbelievable accomplishment. Coach Palzol did an amazing
Yep.
job with them. My wife and daughters, we were watching all the games. They won 3 games with the
And I was
penalties.
checking it out.
It
I
was
was
exciting.
watching. I was
It was
watching the
really
last
great.
games on YouTube. It
Yeah.
was like I thought they were going to pull it out there.
Yeah, I thought so too. They really had a great team, and Paige did a great job. And I kind of joked with Eric that she's definitely set the bar for me now. Like now we have to go make a final, or else I might be packing my bags. So I told the men like right after they lost, and I said, guys, the standard's been set now. Us getting out of the group stage is not going to be enough. They're ranked second in the country now, second in the world. Forget country, second in the world. So that's an unbelievable accomplishment for them. So shout out to what they're doing because it was really fun to watch them play.
Absolutely. No, listen, it was definitely great to Bob. I mentioned them a couple of times on a few of the streams, and I know that many of the wrestlers on Sportswire are big fans of Coach Palazzolo. They're huge fans. So, but I will leave that to another show another time. But we do congratulate the team on an historic season. I know Coach will be here very soon, and I'm excited to talk about those things. So congratulations. I'm looking forward to you going there in Costa Rica coming up here in Martin Luther King Day weekend. I certainly have a dream, and you have a dream to go overseas, and that's going to be exciting. But I could ask you a million things, but I want to ask you one more question, as I always do. Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody, whether it's the team, whether it's everybody at the school, or anybody that's with the soccer team and for the amputee men's program, or anybody else out there tonight? Anything else you want to say to anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out my coaching staff: Coach Wells, Coach Morelli, Coach Topo,
How are
Coach
things at the dinner
Clancy.
table though with you and Coach? Was still okay? Is
Well,
it?
now I'm a godfather now.
Yeah, I did see that on Instagram.
Yes, I am the godfather. So I am that did happen. He repaid the favor. He's Madeline's godfather. So it was nice that when he had to make the decision, he decided to make me Hunter's godfather. So it was very very nice. But dinner table, parents are still upset that we talk soccer at the end of the table. We still don't care. It's not going to change.
But no softball anymore though on the table.
No, he's playing on a different team. The Jaybirds are kind of just doing like a mini season, like get together, like play like a 6-week season. So we're not really doing.
I don't
it
even
from
know how
stuff.
you'd have time to play
I
softball.
don't. I don't.
Like,
I
I don't know how
don't.
you'd have
I think I
time.
played like 2 games last year. So I really don't. I really don't have time. So with that being said, shout out to them, Morelli, Topol,
Oh,
Glancy,
Morelli.
Wells had a great. We had a great year together. They really make coaching fun. To our players, they really, had a great year. Another year where we made it all the way, one day away from a national championship. Literally played as long. You think how long we've gotten to play every year for this 4-year stretch. We've basically played on the second to last day or the last day that a USCA team can play.
I was even going to say you guys
Three out
played
of the 4
until
years.
almost
Three
the
out of
end
the
of
4 years.
November.
Yeah,
Think
three
about
out of
that.
the 4 years. 3 out of the 4 years we're playing into mid to late November, and that's just it's a testament to them and to those our seniors who they've every year they made the national tournament. I mean, what an experience. What can you say? I love doing the amputee stuff. This year, coaching wise, it's been fun moving to Division One, meeting new coaches. Getting close with them. Learning from them, getting better from them. I said Rochester and Syracuse's coach, who actually is just leaving Syracuse. He's going down to Florida. Shout out Coach Nick. Have now my coaching tree is just now growing and growing now, and it's great. It's been a great year.
Absolutely, no question about that. And just it's always an honor to have you here after these exit shows and talk about the season. And it's always been a good ride. And I look forward to the next year's one. And I think I am going to try to make it this time in the summer, because this summer was a bad summer for me. This year, honestly, I didn't have a great year like in the summer, but I think Jeff was really. He was doing the recruitment treatment. He was recruiting me. He was, Jeff was recruiting.
I think if things go down the way they're supposed to go down in the next few months, I think you'll very much want to come out to Long Island. And I think when you do, aside from going to Five Towns, you could do Five Towns, and you can see the best Pez collection in the Northeast.
Yeah, well, I think that's that.
All in one day.
Well, I think that Jeff made some great points, and I think this next summer coming up, I should be in a better spot. I think also it was really hot. I think when you guys had camp, it was really hot. I got to be honest. I'm pretty sure it was like when you.
I'm trying to remember. I had so many camps. The U.S. camp was hot. The U.S. camp was definitely hot.
The camp you had this year was like. It was really. I remember it because it was like I was like, yeah, am I gonna stand there with a tripod in like 90+ degrees?
Listen, we'll get a blower for you. We'll get a blower.
It's okay. Listen, it's okay.
Or we'll let you go inside. We'll let you go inside. We'll get inside the studio. You want to be on the field? You want to be on the field?
I think people. I feel like that my supporters, knowing my supporters, they would be like, "You were there." I feel like that my supporters would be like, wow, because like I've met a few of the wrestlers the last few years, and I'm supposed to potentially meet one or two next week. And I feel like if I go down to camp, and like cover you guys on the field, people would be like, wow. I just think the pop of that.
I agree. Listen, I've been asking you for three or 4 years now.
Well,
3 years.
Well, 21 was COVID, so really
so no one was going. No one was
no,
going anywhere.
21. No, 20.
Yeah.
We had nothing. 21.
Yeah.
We still weren't. So it's really 3 years. So, but I think
3
this
years.
is 25. I'm ready. I feel better. So I think we're gonna do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Jeff is recruiting me, so I promise that.
I love it.
And before we go, that's it's Coach Fiscina for getting that certificate of appreciation. 50 wins at 5 Towns, and it's FTC men's soccer team here also. And it's time to pass the baton. I know you have responsibilities, a bunch of them. So let me give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? Take it away.
Just continue to support Five Towns Athletics. Go follow us on YouTube. Go follow us on Instagram. And thank you for all your support, Tom. And you're forever a friend of Five Towns, and we look forward to many more years working together. All right.
I don't see why not. I mean, 1,300+ subscribers on YouTube doesn't happen with you guys. Not taking a chance. Facebook 2,500 followers, Instagram almost 2,000. TikTok now I'm not that far behind. So that's all because Five Towns was a constant. It's Five Towns. I think about it all through COVID. I think back before we get off in the interview we did, it was like choppy audio, and it was like, I hear my voice and it sounded more Brooklyn than it does now. And, it was just like the first time, but now it's like we're here, and it's almost could have been at 5 Towns with all the lights I got, the share the screen. So it's evolved, but because 5 Towns, you took a chance. Alongside, Coach Drizel has been a great supporter as well. Jeff's been here the last few years. Your players, the women's players, shout out again. I want to shout out Damani Merritt, Jordan Tobin. They're playing overseas. I'd like to give them, a mention. They've come here a few times in the past. I think that's really what I'm going to remember as I'm going into my 6th year. 5 Towns always wanted to be here. When a lot of people would have looked at me and said, No, thank you. But you guys stayed, were a constant, and I wouldn't be here where I am without you guys. So I can't thank you guys enough. Want to wish you guys a very, very happy holiday. And one more thing
You
I do
too.
have to plug before we sign off. We have a huge coming up football tournament. I want to put the link up for that one more time because I plugged it during Jeff's spot. I have to do it. You're the interim AD. If I don't do that, we're going to certainly have problems. But it's the Five Towns College Soccer Indoor Futsal Tournaments. The team fee is $250. That's it. It's all it costs. You have dates coming up here January 11th, 26th, back to backs in February 22nd, 23rd, March 1st, and 2nd. You can register by going to FTC Men's Soccer, FTC Women's Soccer. You get 20-minute games. 3 games are guaranteed. It's all travel. Club teams can provide certificate of insurance, the waivers. It'll be at Five Towns. Contact Coach Fiscina, Coach Litwin, anybody else at the school. It's ftc.edu. Go out there. Trust me. Go out there, and you will not want to miss this. It's a great opportunity to network, connect, and play 5-on-5 games at the high school division. It's just going to be exciting. I wish I still had eligibility. I would be there to pay the $250, but I'm sure that coach would say, "No, thanks. Take you can go somewhere else. Maybe you can level up and do that at the golden era." But there's no golden era there. But all kidding aside, shout out to Coach. Thank you to Jeff Litwin as well. Also want to thank Coach Jocks. I want to thank Greg, who I know will be here. I promise Greg will be here. And Coach Leader, I like making all new friends. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. We were joined here in All Sports Matters with Jason Fiscina, the head coach of the Five Town Sound men's soccer team. He is also our interim athletic director, and he is the head coach of the United States Amputee men's soccer team. Follow the sound, hear the sound, loud and proud. 5towns_sound on Instagram. 11 hearts are always beating as one. If you're a Five Town supporter, if I don't hear from you before the holidays, have a happy holidays. Everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're here, you want to hit a sub for me, Sportswire Radio 6579. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all sports matters.